Okay, this is continuing to happen with greater frequency. Yesterday, today, it will continue to happen unless I say something about it. Now, what's happening here is that people are calling, telling me that I have a duty because of the power that I have and the influence that I have, which, of course, both are considerable, to pick someone right now among the conservative Republican presidential candidates. Pick that person, get behind him, and push him over the top. Now, each person that calls, it's very interesting, tells me I should pick their guy. One guy says Kane, one guy says Perry, one guy says Bachmann. I do not endorse candidates until I'm ready to endorse candidates. If I felt comfortable endorsing someone right now, I would. I do it when I personally feel like I can. And I've not decided who I support among the conservatives. And when people call here who have already made their decisions and insist that I make a decision, what they're really saying is that they want me to back the person that they like. I understand that. Now, here's a fact for you, and I mentioned this at the top of the program today. 70% of the Republicans polled are split all over the map, but they know that they do not support Romney. The reason is simple. Romney is not a conservative. He's not, folks, but you can argue with me all day long on that, but he isn't. What he has going for him is that he's not Obama, that he is doing incredibly well in the debates because he's done it a long time. He's very seasoned. He never makes a mistake. And he's going to keep winning these things if he never makes a mistake. It's that simple. But I'm not personally ready to settle on anybody yet. And I know that neither are most of you. And I also know that most of you do not want this over now. Before we've even had a single primary, all we've had are straw votes. You know that the Republican establishment's trying to nail this down and end it. You know that that's happening. And I know that you don't want that to happen, and neither do I. Now, as for Romney, and you should know, by the way, that I've met Romney. I've not played golf with him. I've met him, and I like all of these people. This isn't personal. Not with what country faces and so forth. I like him very much. I've spent some social time with him. He's a fine guy. He's a very nice gentleman. He is a gentleman. But he's not a conservative. And if you disagree, I'm open. The telephone lines are yours. Call and tell me what you think it is that makes him a principled conservative. What exactly is it? There's something that he has said that shows conservative principled leadership. What did he say? I'm open to it. Now, we're told that governors are better than legislators when looking for presidents for a host of reasons. Legislators are filled with ego. They're surrounded by yes men. They're not executives, and they're one of many, and the buck never does really stop with them. Governors, it's just the exact opposite. But when we look at the record and we bring up Romney care, we're told, well, that's because he was a governor. But as president, he wouldn't do any such thing. What? What do you mean he wouldn't do anything? He did it. The point. He has positions as governor, make it obvious he believes in the concept of man-made global warming. Yeah, but that was as governor. Rush is a liberal state. He had to do things to get elected. There's going to be a lot of liberal pressure on whoever our president is. Media, Democrat members of Congress that the media is going to fawn all over. Every night you have Harry Reid and Pelosi on camera commenting on what the new conservative president's doing. There's going to be all kinds of liberal pressure on whoever our next president is. It's a Republican conservative. The Romney Care Healthcare bill has individual mandates. And they're wrong. Individual mandates are wrong whether they're imposed by a governor or a president. Governor McDonnell of Virginia has not done what Romney did in Massachusetts, and neither have most other Republican governors. Governor McDonnell of Virginia is running a very small deficit, budget surplus, in fact, I think. His unemployment rate in Virginia is way down. Nobody talks about him for the presidency because he himself has not put himself out there for it. But most Republican governors are not having to fall back on the federalism argument to justify what they did. Well, it's states' rights. We're laboratories that we can do whatever we want to do. I wouldn't do it. Of course, at the federal level, I wouldn't do it. As a governor, we're going to experiment with things. And the reason that they're not falling back on federalism is because as governors, they didn't make terrible policy decisions that they now have to justify. So if we are going to look at a governor's record, what exactly do we find? Then there's man-made global warming. And Romney has indicated that he believes in it, and he has supported laws in Massachusetts built on it. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in the federal government, is out of control. The EPA intends to use carbon dioxide to regulate industry in this country, and it's killing our economy. And we don't need somebody who wants that kind of thing to happen. We don't want somebody who thinks that the world is falling apart and the climate is crumbling because what we're doing as human beings and will sustain an EPA to get it under control. That's what liberal Democrat presidents do. We don't need to even go there or to pretend. I was right. Virginia does have a budget surplus, $545 million budget surplus in this economy. So how does a president who believes in man-made global warming and presumably believes it needs to be regulated cut back the EPA? Now, Rush, that was Massachusetts. Again, it's a liberal state. He's got to get elected, and he's got to stay elected, and he's got to work with a liberal Democrat legislature. Well, the same things are going to happen to a president. There's some liberals in the country, and they're very loud and vocal, and there are going to be a lot of liberals in the Congress, and they are going to be making a lot of noise, and he's going to have to work with them. And see, that's the rub. Isn't it? When you get right down to it, aren't we tired of working with the opposition? And aren't we tired of saying that the number one qualification for our nominee ought to be the ability to work with our opponents? Isn't the point to defeat them? Isn't that what the election results of 2010 were all about? Didn't the American people send a signal loud and clear in November 2010? We don't want Obamaism. We don't want liberalism. We don't want to cross the aisle and work with these people. There's nothing Chuck Schumer advocates that we want part of. What's going to happen on immigration? Right now, as we speak, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate are working together on a comprehensive immigration plan that they hope to be able to get passed. That will essentially be amnesty. They're hoping to avoid that word being attached to it. But what'll happen? This isn't 30 years ago or 40 years ago where the deficit was too high and out of control. We have reached a tipping point here. Now, I know that you, members of this audience, typify the American people, and you are way ahead of the Washington establishment. Here, let me ask you this. The Republican National Committee, when is the last time that you saw an ad or anything sponsored by them attacking Obama, what he stands for, setting the terms, defining the parameters of the upcoming election. They haven't. They're nowhere near caught up with us where we are and how we view the future of the country and the dangers that lurk not around the corner, but right straight ahead. It's not the day for the politics of old where you just share power every 4 or 8 years with the other party and act congenial with one another, and that's the D.C. establishment. They all live with the understanding they're going to win some, they're going to lose some, but the other side plays that for all it's worth. They make us think that they're part of that mindset, but they're out to destroy everything we believe in. They're out to destroy the people who personify in politics what we believe in. And I don't mean just destroy them at the polls. I mean they're out to destroy them personally. Lives, character, you name it. The evidence is there each and every day. Ain't beanbag. I just don't want a president that's going to think the EPA ought to be empowered to act on hoax, or that believes that government should have the ability to mandate that people go out and buy health insurance. That's for the other party to do. That's for the other party to lose on. And they must lose on it. Future of the country hangs in the balance. Here's what Romney said back in June. And it's typical of his comments on global warming in general. He said, I don't speak for the scientific community, of course, but I believe the world is getting warmer. I can't prove it, but I believe based on what I read that the world is getting warmer. And number two, I believe that humans contribute to that. I don't know how much our contribution is to that because I know that there have been periods of greater heat and warmth in the past, but I believe we contribute to it. And I remember having a cow that day when he said it, and I cringed. And I was surprised this didn't come up last night. Some of this stuff makes me think that the second tier really doesn't think they have much of a chance and that they're running for president for something else. You know, it's great to go on television after this campaign's all over with the moniker former presidential candidate under your name if you're guesting on Greta or some Fox show or anywhere else. Former presidential candidate Herman Cain. It's a status element. The only point is that there are vulnerabilities with Romney, and they're not going after him. Plain and simple. Didn't come up last night. Fully. If belief in global warming, man-made global warming, will have a huge impact on our economy if it is fully implemented. If we have policies based on the prospect or the concept that human being, that your car, your lawnmower, and your barbecue pit are causing global warming, there's no difference in the current regime. That's what they believe. And meanwhile, the media establishment attacks Romney anyway for being too timid on the subject. That quote of his I just read, that's too timid. He's not fully committed here. And then some of those candidates might be running for Romney's VP slot. Some people thought that Romney really set Michelle Bachmann up for that last night by asking her a real softball question that elevated her. You thought that? I think a lot of people thought that was all about Romney knows he needs a Tea Party. So get a Tea Party person on the ticket, maybe. Michelle Bachmann, at least be nice. Play nice to Herman Cain, too. Playing nice to Herman Cain. So, yeah, exactly right. That's one way of looking at it. Just kicked it out of bounds.